Hey there! Welcome back to the channel. Are you struggling with countable and uncountable nouns? Do words like much, many, few, and little leave you confused? Today, we're diving deep into the world of quantifiers. Let's explore how to use them correctly so you can sound more natural and confident. So let's get started. First, let's quickly go over what countable and uncountable nouns are. It's important to understand the difference because this will help you choose the right quantifiers. Countable nouns are things we can count individually. Think of things like apples, books, cars, or people. We can say 1 apple, 2 books, or many people. Uncountable nouns, on the other hand, are things we can't count individually. These are usually substances, concepts, or things that are too small or too abstract to count. For example, water, sugar, advice, or homework. We don't say 2 waters or 5 advices. Instead, we use measurements or specific quantifiers to talk about them. Now let's dive into quantifiers for countable nouns. These are things we can count. Here are the most common ones. Many. We use many when we are talking about a large number of countable things. For example, there are many books on the shelf. A few. We use a few to mean a small number, but still more than one. For example, I have a few friends coming over tonight. Few. The word few without a means almost none or not enough. For example, there are few opportunities for growth in that job. Several is used when we are talking about more than 2, but not too many. For example, I've visited several countries in Europe. Some can be used for both countable and uncountable nouns. But for countable nouns, it's often used when you don't know the exact number. For example, I have some books in my bag. And now, let's look at a few more interesting quantifiers for countable nouns. A couple of. This refers to 2 items. It's often used informally. For example, I have a couple of friends coming to visit this weekend. A dozen means 12 of something. You might have heard this one a lot. For example, I bought a dozen eggs at the store. A score means 20 of something. It's a bit old-fashioned, but still useful. For example, there were a score of people at the event. Now let's move on to quantifiers for uncountable nouns. Remember, these are things we can't count individually. Here are the key quantifiers. Much. We use much when talking about a large amount of something uncountable. For example, I don't have much money left. A little means a small amount of something. For example, I have a little water in my bottle. Without a, little means almost none or not enough. For example, there is little time left before the meeting. Some, just like with countable nouns, we use some with uncountable nouns when we don't know the exact amount. For example, could you give me some advice? A lot of is used to talk about both countable and uncountable nouns, but it's especially helpful for uncountable nouns when we want to talk about a large quantity. For example, there is a lot of water in the ocean. Let's put everything we have learned into action. Here are a few examples to show you how to use these quantifiers in real-life situations. I don't have many pencils, but I have a few. We don't have much time, so we need to hurry. There are few students in the classroom today. There is a lot of sugar in this recipe. Could you please give me a little milk in my coffee? I have seen several movies this week. I bought a dozen apples at the market. We have a couple of questions for you. A score of people attended the conference. See how easy it is to use these quantifiers when you have examples like these. Practice them with your own sentences to get more comfortable. Let's quickly look at some common mistakes people make when using quantifiers so you can avoid them. Don't say much plus countable nouns. We don't say much books or much people. Instead, use many. Example: how many books do you have? Don't say a few plus uncountable nouns. We don't say a few water. Instead, use a little. Example: can I have a little water? Don't confuse few and a few. Few means almost none, while a few means a small number. Example: I have a few questions. I have some, not many, versus there are few options available. There aren't enough options. Great job! Now that you've learned how to use quantifiers with both countable and uncountable nouns. Thanks for watching, and don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit the bell icon for more helpful lessons. See you in the next video.